I looked in the mirror and realized this was insane, unreal.
Whether it's good or bad?
But I want it.
They brought me jump ropes, and we tied their hands and feet with them.
Well, then he's an idiot, Dima.
But how do you choose a coach?
Yeah, hell if I know, honestly.
Dear friends, today I have a very, very cool specialist as my guest, someone I respect and know a lot. We just counted, let me tell you, we've known each other in person for 15 years now. This is Dmitry Yashankin, honored master of sports, physical training coach for the Russian national hockey team, and Arnold Classic champion. There are a ton more titles, but let's stop at these. Dima, hi.
Hello.
Yes, the first time we met in person was in 2008 when we filmed together on the show Guess the Profession. But by that time I had already been following you. The internet wasn't really active then, and I don't think YouTube existed yet. If I'm not mistaken, yes.
I only saw the covers.
Yes, I was following you.
I was watching you too and was a little jealous. I also wanted to be on the cover, but they only took me for the Bodybuilder magazine. Yes.
I have some questions for you. So let's start with probably the simplest one. What are you doing these days?
Right now? I just came from a workout. I was working as a personal trainer with the head of Gazprom Neft, Alexander Vladimirovich Krylov, whom I admire a lot and would even be willing to work for free for him, because as a person, let me just tell you what kind of people I admire. He created a hockey academy where, Avangard, the hockey club, Avangard and the Continental Hockey League, and there's the Major League, the Youth League, and a school. That's actually where athletes move up the ladder to join the main team. So he started by opening free skating rinks in schools in the Omsk region, provided uniforms, and began holding physical education classes, one lesson a week for anyone interested. School children come to PE class, they're given uniforms that cost a lot, which they couldn't afford on their own. The ice, the coaches, and this selection process, I believe that after some time, it will help raise the level of hockey players. And I'm impressed by people who are able to think on such a global scale.
Lionel Messi, in my opinion, grew up in a similar kind of academy. I mean, he played for Barca, but he was in Barcelona's academy from a very young age. So
they have that. I mean, you come in and just imagine it's free, but taking your kid to hockey like that.
Yeah.
It's all insanely complicated. If people like that appeared in every region, in every area, then the level of sports, not just hockey, but in general, could really improve. I mean, it's possible. It really is. Note.
Do you have a lot of students in general?
Dim, no, you can count them on your fingers. Well, I've already moved on to the level where I work only with those I want to, those I like, those who are interesting, and I've been doing that for many years. So it's not like, come to me for personal training, or a spot just opened up.
By the way, we actually had one client together. Not on camera, but there was one very specific client whom you trained. You probably don't know about that. And I consulted him on medical issues. Later, I'll remind you with some footage. Maybe you'll remember.
Well, I actually recommend good specialists to good clients.
How does a very important person trainer's morning start?
Listen, being a very important person trainer is just one of my activities. What else? I also shoot videos, I run a YouTube channel, but still.
Which is good, and I have it. So Sasha was asking, how old is he? When I said that we're not really the same age, yeah, that he's much older than me. But you look to me? I don't know, we look the same, really. I understand that it's genetics.
It's just genetics, you just have a gray beard.
Yeah, that's true, you can't get away from that. But I want to understand your lifestyle, because you look the way you do. Because you invest in yourself, you work on yourself, not entirely.
So what do you do? What do you mean by investing in yourself? Is it Botox injections? No?
Sports, workouts, routine, nutrition, well...
Of course, like a routine, proper nutrition. Yeah, honestly, I've noticed that lately I don't look very good. And after 40, it really does, and I'm sure a lot of people tell you too that after 40, everything just falls apart. And damn, yeah, it's so sad. So, what about you? Do you really like it? With each year, With each day, you notice new wrinkles.
I don't notice. You look great, Dima.
Hair, well, to hell with it. I understand that looking younger, I can look younger. I mean, without using any drugs, just cleaning up, I can take some kind of course, for example, for myself. Vegetables, minimal protein, healthy eating, light workouts, yoga. I actually look younger in the face, literally in just a few weeks after giving up coffee, but I haven't done that in a long time. And I look at myself in the mirror and think that it makes sense to do a cleanse, because lately I want to be in shape. A bunch of supplements, lots of protein, lots of workouts, and the contracts kind of require me to be in shape, to show off my muscles, to take photos, to participate in some shoots. And that's why I need abs, I need muscles, and it gives not only definition to the whole body, but also to the face, and all of that too. And then I'll consult with you.
What motivates you?
I work out because I like going to the gym and I feel good. I like playing hockey, I study, I learn something new every time, and I enjoy every practice. And I eat protein because I like how I feel, like here's my muscle, here's my back, I'm a strong guy. That's what I enjoy.
You just said that you have a contract and that's it. So let me give you a simple example. Let me give you one. Henny Rambot. He's the coach of Phil Heath. He's the coach of Hadi Chupan and Derek Lunsford. Basically all the champions. Honestly, I think if you weighed 30 kilos more tomorrow, you would still keep training all these cool, very important person clients. People will still come to see you, listen to you, pay attention, and follow your example. Honestly, at this point in your life, I don't think anything will change for you, even if you don't look good. That's why I asked what motivates you, because nothing in your life will really change, even if you gain weight. I think...
For example, I had that experience, I let myself go, and just last year I decided to take up hockey. I'm not going to pay attention to my diet or my shape. Now I'm a hockey player, that's it, I'm a hockey player. I started gaining weight, my butt got bigger than my shoulders. Well, figuratively speaking, and I wasn't enjoying it. I mean, it's not that I feel insecure, it's just uncomfortable. When I put on size 32 jeans, they fit me well and nothing feels tight or pinches. And whatever I put on, whether it's some cheap stuff, tight or oversized, I feel good in it. But when there's a little extra here, it's just uncomfortable, what's the point?
How do they say it about food? You shouldn't eat what tastes good to you or what you like, but what makes you feel good. It's the same for me with sports.
Probably I'm like that in everything, a kind of synesthetic. I like to feel, to sense things. I teach my clients and athletes exactly this, to feel their body, to feel their organism, and that's what's important to me. If I didn't do my workout, it seems like, yeah, okay, but damn, something's off.
It's functional. I just see that you're in hockey, on the board, in the ring, so you're constantly doing something new.
With periods, probably hockey right now. Some time ago I was into surfing. Before that I probably spent about 5 years on boxing. And before that it was yoga, so it's always some kind of hobby. As they say, to really understand something you need to spend 1,000 hours on it. I don't count how many hours I've spent, but when I get into something, well, it's still some kind of activity, so it's close enough. I bring something into my own fitness and coaching activities. I get pleasure from some things. I meet more people, experts, coaches. I learn how competitions are held, what to strive for, and what auxiliary exercises there are. And sometimes I help to develop that area a little bit too. Somehow in hockey they don't really pay much attention to nutrition or supplements, or in surfing, and everything seems fine, but they want good physiques too.
Look, here are people
who you want to take a picture with, so you have abs.
Well, everyone wants abs.
Abs, right, yes. So listen, what is there to do there?
Dim question. The people who know you well, your closest circle, they probably know everything about you. But we usually just see a certain image, like they say on social media. We show what we're ready to show.
What we want to show, yes.
Some things about you may surprise people as they get to know you better. It's not always bad. What do people discover when they join your close circle and say, "Wow, thank you"?
That's what I've heard. People are often surprised that I'm simple, kind of ordinary and normal, but that's what they say, and what people say isn't always the case. Actually, I probably have a circle, not a very big circle of close people, but those among them whom I trust and with whom I can truly be myself. Demon is kind, and I've always wanted to be kind since childhood. I've always wanted to be kind. And getting into YouTube or starting to run Instagram, I always get feedback like, he's insincere, just a businessman, it's all for money. And I'm always so surprised by that. I think, wait, come on, that's really not about me at all.
So I don't have to go anywhere, people send me videos. When we released the first episodes on YouTube, I looked at the comments. Sometimes I see something like that and I think, damn, that's really upsetting. So I'm trying to prove something and Sasha tells me, just forget it, and sends me a video with nature sounds and says, look, there are nature sounds. Half the people are disliking and posting nasty comments. What did you expect from yourself?
And ruin nature too, yes. Well, at first I said that when I started, I was worried about it, but then somehow, yeah, I stopped.
Is there anything in your life, yes, that you really regret? Something that didn't work out? Or on the contrary, something you're proud of that happened in your life? The whole series, I managed to...
Listen, well, there are probably a lot of such things and moments in life. Well, for example, I just remembered. What about you? A friend of mine asked me, I remember there was a time when it was fashionable for oligarchs to work out. Now it's triathlon. I don't know what's in fashion now. Maybe, those, what do they call them? Climbing. Now you have to do the 7 summits. Some time ago it was triathlon, but back then it was popular to work out. And I ended up in such a story on a yacht in Capri with Naomi Campbell, Dolce & Gabbana. And there was a guy who lives in New York. He had a big company that sold diamonds, and he said, come to New York, work with me, and you'll work there. But I just wasn't confident in myself. I mean, everything is good for me here. People love and respect me, and I'm in my own country, so why should I go somewhere else? And I remember that moment so often, like, man, it would have been interesting. I mean, just one conversation could have changed my whole life. And there are actually a lot of moments like that in life. Some give you time to think, and with others you don't even have time to decide anything. You just somehow end up going down that path. And they come up all the time. And the more actions you take, the more people you interact with, the more options like that you have. Maybe I would regret some event, but at the same time I realize I have a beautiful wife, a family, my parents are alive, I'm provided for, everything is fine. You think, would it be the same if I had done things differently? Not necessarily. Would I be a healthy and happy man? Not necessarily. So thank God for everything, and I'm grateful for the experience I've had, even though I'm ashamed of some things. Since childhood, I had something like a cloud hanging over me, and I just remember one particular conversation. We were walking down the street with the guys, and there were some older bullies talking trash, blah, blah, and there was some kind of scuffle. And I was like, okay, that's it, let's just drop it, that's enough. But I should have hit back, I should have fought, I chickened out, I kind of avoided the conflict. And that's how it was for me. And when I went, into the ring, I wasn't boxing just to get into the ring. That's something I realized for myself later. Maybe when I got into the ring, I took some hits, but I didn't stop. I understood, I realized that I was up against a candidate for Master of Sports, that I was going to take some hits, but I wasn't scared there. I think, no, that's not it. I'm not a coward. Just moments like that Or when I was a kid, I tried to lift the barbell and my dad said, don't do it. You have to be careful. You need this, you need that. But I wanted to, and he wasn't watching. And if I hadn't busted my ass back then, I probably wouldn't have become a champion. It's things like that, like now I went one way, but I could have gone another.
There are two cops standing like this, and one of them is lying down following. But that was at the Arnold Classic, United States of America.
Yeah.
That was definitely the first one in America, yeah. I watched it in America, and I remember exactly how it looked when you went there. Yeah, where is he going? What's there? Yeah, if he even makes it into the top 5, he'll be grateful. That's how I went, yeah.
That's exactly how I went.
He keeps winning, and I, as someone from the sidelines, so to speak, can say they bought it, they paid for it. Well, here we go. As usual with us, instead of just saying that's how it is, good job. I have a question about competitions. Since looking good is important and competing often puts a big strain on your health, and you've competed a lot. And that's why I say that you managed, because besides genetics, you still have some sensible approaches, knowledge, so that you could preserve yourself and look so good. You are functionally developed and can outperform people who are 20 years younger than you. That's a fact. It's not a compliment, it's just stating the facts. I'm not as functionally developed as Dmitry. You know what the question is? I was just watching the Olympia, and honestly, they're freaks.
Yeah, freaks.
It's just insane. And sometimes in stories, in reels, Olympia from 96 pops up, or, 2000.
Completely different people.
You just take the top 10, and you could put any of them in first place. Well, it's kind of a matter of taste. Just personal preference now. What is this even? Where's the quality? Where's the separation? There are symptoms in every other one.
I just don't think so, but why is that? Maybe I stopped loving it.
No, well, that's really how it is.
No, I just switched my attention to classic physics.
I'll have a separate question about classic physics. That's mine. Why is it like that? Subtitles by Dmitry. Listen, well, knowledge appears.
Even in Russian bodybuilding, I'll say it's the same story.
They're all crooked.
Well, of course, there are only a few you can actually look at, just a handful.
Well, why? Knowledge, chemistry, nutrition, access to information. Now we have everything. Before, there was nothing. They just fried things, baby food, some kind of protein, whatever they could find.
And even in training, yeah, it seems like some new things are appearing.
Why is the physical condition declining?
Well, most likely that's what YATS said then, that since you got injured, you probably could have gotten in shape, or maybe not. He says that's exactly why I was in that kind of shape, that I was beyond my limits, and only by working beyond your limits can you reach that level. It seems to me that these modern methods of whey, not me, honestly, you can't really say they're aimed at health, but more at preservation. No way, well, just looking at it superficially, there's less work now. But there are more hopes for everything else. That's the impression I get. So, for example, a guy started taking testosterone, he started feeling better, healthier. Yeah, damn, I can work more, I can sleep less, I can drink, and nothing will happen to me. And that's the hope for testosterone. It actually not only lowers his potential, but on top of that, his potential is already low, and he lowers it even more. And I think it's the same story in professional sports. Listen.
There too, the veterans in bodybuilding say, the doses are just insane. Listen, if it all came down to the doses, then what's stopping you? Just take more if you're at that level and surpass Ronnie Coleman, right? No.
Or do less and look the same as in 2001.
I think it's just an excuse that they just take more. Those are such crazy doses. We're just not ready.
Well, okay, take less. You'll look better, right?
And for those of you who want to get in shape, who want to feel good, get rid of chronic fatigue, look better, maybe lose a couple of kilos or gain some, we've prepared a separate project, and you can learn more about this project in the broadcast. The link to it is in the description below this video. This broadcast is dedicated to the secrets of high testosterone. There we discuss in detail what causes it to decrease, how it can be increased, and how you can generally improve the quality of your life. So follow the link in the description and watch this free broadcast. About Bumstead, I have a question for you.
Bumstead is amazing.
He's amazing. I really like him. I liked him even before he was a winner. You know, he's an ambassador. He honestly reminds me of Arnold, even having a slight speech defect like Arnold's accent. Seminin is really great, tall, handsome, and stately. Everything about him is just right. But this year he performed, as you know, he tore his bicep, there was a bicep tear, it was swollen, and there. In second place was Ramon, a Brazilian guy, I think, and honestly, you could have easily put Ramon in first place. You know what my question is? Bumstead has 14 million followers. Tell me, as an ambassador, and after all, there's commerce involved there, whether you like it or not, is it possible, all other things being equal, to be just a little better than the champion, or will the followers and sponsors still outweigh that? Does your presence in the social environment and media sphere have an impact? Does it affect your place on the podium?
Well, it's probably like that halo that follows the name, the champion, everything that surrounds him, a certain aura. So, it's not just the number of followers, but the magnitude of the personality. And the magnitude of the personality already brings the number of followers with it. I think it's the same with your channel. If you weren't so educated, interesting, smart, and likable, would it be the same? The number of followers probably wouldn't be the same. And you didn't start working on your speech for nothing, right? Sorry, I exposed you a little bit. You understand that there are some things you can improve, and that will allow you to grow even more.
I tend to see flaws in everything. I try to work on them. That's normal.
I suppose Bamster is like that too, thanks to this approach. Somewhere it's the hairstyle, somewhere it's the mustache, somewhere it's the followers. It's not about the body or the figure, but the judges, the viewers, and sports in general. It's, as they say, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It's perception. But you also perceive weight. You perceive the image through the prism of what you know, have seen or heard about this person. Still, there are a lot of experiments like that. When you talk about this person, you say he's an engineer and you wouldn't marry him, but if he's a millionaire, of course, you see, it's the same story.
Well, is that really right after all? Look, Usain is into sports. Well, yes, that always kind of bothered me a little, I guess. You run the 100 meters faster than anyone, and it doesn't matter if you're crooked or awkward, but here, it turns out you ran. Maybe you're not the fastest, but you have an aura. You're handsome there.
Well, that's just the kind of sport it is. You just have to accept it. And athletes need to understand that it's not enough to have definition, proportions, and muscles. It's about influence, meaning you have to be attractive. And this attraction depends on what's around you, not just how you look, and you have to work on that.
Question. I've been following you, and it's been a long time since we met in person. I gave a lecture at your event.
A very good lecture.
And I don't see...
You had a large number of subscribers on the channel I don't see.
You know what, Dim?
No views.
Your best friend. As an observer from the outside, I mean those who watch me, they know that this is my best friend.
Yes.
Who is your best friend?
Kshuka.
No, well, Kshuka, yes, me too.
For me to say it like this, well, my wife is my best friend.
And a man is a friend.
But to say that a man is a friend like my wife is no.
And why?
Why? I'll tell you now.
And this is not the last no?
No, I just have a story, that's been going on. I think it's been since school, and these stories probably don't really let me be there. Well, I mean, I can be the best friend. As sad as it is, not many people can be the best friend.
They can't maybe keep up with you?
Well, it's not really about keeping up. You see, the thing is friendship. It's like this. I have friends, maybe 5 or 7 guys I can talk to or not talk to and completely trust. And I understand that they don't expect anything from me, and I don't expect anything from them. This kind of friendship, a best friend, some kind of story, movie-like or literary, when you have one best friend. I had one best friend in school, and he became an alcoholic. There was like a best friend, and he cheated me in business.
Well, there were.
After all, there was another best friend, and the same story happened. That is, as soon as, hell if I know, to be honest, and it's not like I can say that I'm avoiding getting close to someone. Still, I guess the older I get, the more I realize that if I've chosen the path of family, tea, as a man, do you understand yourself, or does life show you how to go? Whether to go alone and achieve some goals, reach some heights, walk your own path. For me, I tried to do it alone, and I realized, no, here is my person, and I should be with this person. And when you choose to be with some other person, it's always some kind of crap. You betray either your loved one and waste your time, energy, and effort on someone who ends up leaving you, or you just lose what is truly important and valuable to you. Time, for example, when your kids are growing up, you spend that time not with your kids, but with a friend. But for me, the choice is obvious now. Yes, but there was a time when I spent more time with a friend, with friends, than with my kids. I wonder, why did I even need that?
Let me make a small remark. I worked with a psychologist this year, and I had the same problems as you. Yeah, I had people I invested, and it was all one-sided. People didn't realize how much I sacrificed to make their lives easier. Well, one person dropped out, another dropped out, and now I have just one close person, well, two, and that's it. I don't want to let new people in. And I asked psychologists, why is it like this? Why? And it's like I'm carrying a bag with a throat, and inside there's resentment, and it still smells, poisoning my life. She says there are 3 circles of communication. The first is family. She asked who's in mine, and I started naming them, including my best friend. No, she says, there can't be friends there, only family. Wife, mom, grandmother, that's it. Any friend, even the closest one, doesn't belong there. Those who came there last will suffer. In your case, that's your children. So, when you bring a friend into the very first circle, the first circle starts to suffer, and the first circle is called duty. Whether you want to or not, you must care for your family and your mom. The second circle is also about duty. You do this, but the other person should do something back. 1, 2, 3, you act, they respond. That's what you meant. If he doesn't do anything in return, then, as she told me, you have the same situation I had. Are you in his third circle? The third circle is called want, don't want, meaning did it or didn't do it, and it doesn't obligate anything. And you thought you were in his second circle? And the most important thing is to understand how close a person really is to you. Because we've faced this, and now we're afraid to give, and we're kind of comfortable in the first circle. We're sitting here, it's all warm.
Maybe, but this partnership, friends who seem to support you in some things, I can support, but if I don't do it, nothing will happen. And at the same time, I can find other ways to solve this problem. So that's how it works. And in the third circle, I have a third one.
This is about wanting or not wanting. It's there. You did something good for someone, but you don't expect anything from them. Well,
I think that after all, maybe these kinds of partnership relationships come with age. That is, based on respect, on your word. When you've been communicating with these people for many years, being friends, you understand how they will behave. You trust them in certain situations where you're confident, and you don't ask for more in things where they're not sure, and you understand that, well, he doesn't need it. So a sense of proportion, something like that. That's what partnership is like.
There's also a question about a sense of proportion. In psychology, there's such a term, and it's often characteristic of people with your kind of psychotype. What does that mean? Well, imagine you're doing sports, and you don't have to compete tomorrow, but you're giving 200%. You're playing hockey, and you don't have to play hockey at a professional level, but you're still giving it your all. And it's absolutely in everything. Like when you try to improve your diction, I mean, we don't know how to give 70-80%, even though, you know, there's that 80-20 rule where 20% of your effort creates 80% of the result. Why am I saying this? So imagine a fair, you know, a strength tester, you come up, hit it with a hammer, it shoots up, and you have different levels. And at the number 300, that's the very top. That's it. The bell at the top, no matter how hard you hit, you can't go higher than 300. The trick is to hit it just right, so it reaches 300, rings the bell, and you get your prize. But there's no point in hitting it just to see what happens, or giving it your all. I had this problem, and I still do. I'm working on it. Do you know moderation, or do you always hit so hard you try to send the bell into space?
That's more like bodybuilding. This story happened before Arnold, when I was in incredible shape just 2 weeks before. But it was really over the edge. I mean, I had completely broken through the ceiling.
It was during that photo shoot with the hat.
No, actually, it wasn't even a photo shoot. So actually, I dressed warmly, wore sweaters, and thought, I'll show my physique later. I'll do even better then.
I burned out a little, yeah.
I looked in the mirror and realized this is insane, unreal. It was just damn, you know. I thought, oh man, and I was even scared of myself, you know. I got an ulcer, I had heavy bleeding in my stomach, and I even spent some time in the hospital. I don't remember exactly, but I think I was there 5 days, maybe a week.
And then I got out and flew.
Yeah, I got out probably, no, actually it was about a month later. It was already a month. Still, that's how it was. I spent about a week resting, and then about 3 weeks recovering, maybe 2 weeks. I was just getting back into shape, and then I went to see. So I told everyone that I had bought tickets, the hotel was paid for, I would go and see. Well, of course, I took my swim trunks with me. Basically, I could already do a little bit, tense some muscles, but I wasn't allowed to have any pressure. I was just standing there calmly, and they told me, you're so confident, but I was actually just scared and hiding. I was just standing there, you know, completely relaxed. Yeah, and I managed to get in shape, I did, but it wasn't the kind of shape I could have had. Well, and in bodybuilding, I guess it was exactly like that. People would go for it at any cost, victory or death, right up to the very end. Either you've already had enough, you know, or something like that. This experience shows that maybe you don't have to give it your all, that you can actually get the full result by putting in just 20%. And I don't have that kind of total dedication in everything, you know. I think, on the contrary, I'm kind of a slacker. I just enjoy myself, you know. I don't really get deeply involved in anything. We organize events, we do hold events, right?
Fitness weekend. Also, I have a question.
Well, yes, I calculated what needs to be done there. Okay, 2 months for preparation. Call here, write there, collect this, sort that out.
The year 1996.
Well, you know, give everyone a little task and make this plan yourself, and it all happens without any strain. It's not like you're on 3 phones from morning till night doing things.
Because, well, any event is always, well, as I see it, 3 components. It's some kind of giving. You want to give something to people. The second is the financial aspect. And the third probably is some kind of image.
Well, yes, for me it's exactly that, you know, this giving part. At first it was really about giving, like leaving some kind of mark, and everything was at a loss. But of course, again, that's a plus for media exposure, so somewhere it's a loss, but somewhere it's a plus, some kind of respect. Just respect, like Demon organized the tournament, and also the experience that allows you to not only be an athlete, but also do something else.
Give some advice. Now we're organizing an event in February, and you know, usually doctors hold congresses, it's just doctors there. But I divided the congress into 2 parts. The first part is for regular doctors with serious lectures, and the second part is for regular patients. There we cover topics like urolithiasis, erectile dysfunction, and so on. And there are some pretty well-known people there. Well, there's Genia Grekov, he'll be there for about 4 or 5 hours, and we're covering all the expenses ourselves. And it was so surprising to me that even though we're paying out of our own pockets and doing this for people, we still get hate from time to time. And I just don't get it. Like, why do they say we're wasting money? Where do they write this? Aren't you ashamed? I think there are plenty of ways to spend money, and I'm sure you have things to spend it on too. So I think you probably got some of that too. The fact that it's pure business, well, people judge by themselves, but how do you fight that? Look, you don't see him as one of your own at all. You just move forward like a locomotive.
Well, as they say, you grow some kind of armor, you become thick-skinned.
I haven't managed to do that yet.
A little bit cynical, a little bit indifferent.
We'll have comments here. I read them, but from time to time I gave the floor to Alexander, you could say our main creator of the channel. He says not to write nasty things to them, but I end up arguing anyway.
Well, to get involved, I think.
I'm not explaining anything. I'm writing. Are you arguing with me? I have a doctorate and he's sending me nasty messages, so I get upset. He says, just block him. And for the last month and a half, I hardly read comments at all. I just can't. Some fool gets to me and I start stooping to his level, arguing with him. Right now I avoid reading them, but I hope I'll eventually stop reacting to them entirely.
And then you'll start finding it amusing, smiling, then you'll start reading them again, and it'll be like that. And you'll start picturing the patient in your mind. You more or less understand who's writing this charity.
You're involved, and that's cool. I have mixed feelings about charity. I'll try to explain, and I hope you understand.
Yeah, I don't really do it much.
You do it, don't be modest. You do it, but you could do better. You've seen fundraisers online, right? They often raise money for treatment, but believe me, 95% of those who raise money are either not raising it for treatment, but say it's for treatment. So I've had cases where people write to me saying, look, this person is in the hospital, they're raising money, they're in the hospital under insurance, but they're still collecting money. And then we start to look into it, asking, what are you raising money for? I'm raising money for medicine they'll prescribe, even though it's free, or for travel expenses. I tell them to write that, or else it discredits our healthcare system. And when friends send me messages that someone else is raising money, I start digging into it. I really start calling them out. I say, aren't you ashamed? You get this for free, that for free, even expensive medications. And then they start blocking me. Our conversations go like this. That doctor is a jerk. Even recently, a doctor argued with a colleague and he said, why are you writing this? You've been prescribed everything you need. But the person says, I don't want treatment in Russia. I have alternative treatment. Sometimes I say, write it like this. Why are you creating the impression that in our country either you have money and get treatment or you have no money and die of cancer? On my website, even though I consult in a private clinic, privately, for a fee, the oncology consultation section on my website says it's free. That is, everything related to my main work, all surgeries, all consultations, I do absolutely free of charge. And when I see this, when I'm working hard, for the order of the hunchback, as they say, and I see this, I started to feel very negative about it. I check 1,000 times where, for what, and why. Especially with dogs, that's my pain. I just can't watch when a poor dog. Can you imagine? It's come to the point where they deliberately injure dogs, they purposely hurt them, post it online, and collect money from it. That's just outrageous, and that's how I feel. That's why, when it comes to charity, I understand its benefits, but I have a really hard time with it, So I'd like to know, what does charity mean to you, and how do you navigate all of this? Aren't you afraid that what you give might just go nowhere, for example?
Well, we invited a foundation to the event. It's just, kind of a joint thing. Well, it's a big foundation. It's real. There's a company, of course. They're there to ensure the foundation operates. They spend some money on that, but at the same time, help is being provided. Or there are some guys who might just help out a little on my own. I come over, bring some little gifts. The last time was actually today, by the way. We brought a vibro platform for cerebral palsy from Yamaguchi. They're sick, I have a friend who's a massage therapist. He works with them and he said it would help them. He asked if I knew how to get one, so I said, let's ask the company. They said, if you do some advertising, we'll provide it. So that's the kind of level we're talking about. Or like that boy over there, he was training. I've actually had this idea for a long time, to become an honored master of sports. And I have that too. Simkin won the World Championship, my students. Kushchuk won the European Championship. Vakubov won the World Championship, junior level. Gusev is a physicist. There are no titles there, so it doesn't count. But that's third place in Russia. That's 3 points, right? Well, I mean, that's kind of not the same, but this World Europe, and there are 10 champions of Russia, that gives you the opportunity to earn a title. So, kind of, but then there are also those doping stories, and just when I could have done it, some changes happened, and I was like, damn, I really needed that. Yeah. Honored coach of Russia, and he was looking at the guys to see who could compete in fitness, because bodybuilding is always about steroids and a big risk. Even to earn the master title there, you must pass the test. And this guy I see is just perfect. Damn, such a beautiful body. The muscles are shaped just like a miniature flex wheeler, and he's also an acrobat. It's just crazy. I thought, with those shoulders, that's it. That's my lucky ticket. And he's there. Yeah. Next season I worked in some show. So they won the European Championship in acrobatics, I think the World Championship. Won it several times, the Russian Championship, and some kind of pair acrobatics, triple acrobatics. So he falls from a height, breaks his neck, and now he's in a wheelchair. In a wheelchair, really. And how can I help? I went, shot a video. Here's how Sanya lives, what he does, how he trains, what difficulties he faces. There's at least some upside to this. If you need something, if you need help or want to say something, well, I mean, in person, when you come to the hospital yourself and bring tangerines, I think that's much more valuable than posting a story or sending 1,000 rubles. And there are a lot of these people, really a lot. Or we have a girl who comes in and for some reason, who knows what's going on with her, just to talk to her makes her feel better, and you feel better too, or even just on social media. How are you? Where are you? Getting ready to go? She's into sports. Well, I mean, just some kind of little joke. That's your personal involvement. That's what's valuable. If you have a ton of money and you can... Well, in any case, I think that you should give some part of your attention and earnings. But I'll tell you something, it's amazing. It's like you can't really take advantage of it. And by the way, I kind of have something like that. You think, damn, is this not the reason I'm doing it when I just... We used to go to church often. For a while we even got married there, and for many years we attended the parish. And I used to give lessons to the kids for free. Just held classes at the parish, and I was really lucky with money, business, and career growth. Damn.
Karma.
Well, I don't know. You know how they say it works. You give a bond to an old man, and then bam, you get some money on your card from where you least expect it. That's how it works too. Of course, it's not really good to keep track of things like that, but when you put your heart into something, it comes back to you in any case.
I completely agree, that's how it works. Well, it's not exactly because of that, but the more you give, the more you get back from some mysterious magical places, in magical ways. You meet someone here, get to know someone there, someone thanks you, and somehow, just like that, everything turns out well. I have a question for you. You know, there's this fitness trainer, you see him on all sorts of demotivators, he lost weight, then gained it back. In general, he was slim his whole life, about your build, and then he gained fat, like 35, 88 pounds. He deliberately ate burgers, chips, ice cream.
It's a well-known thing.
Yeah, he just kept eating and eating. I watched an interview with him yesterday, actually, while I was preparing for the podcast, and he was saying, like, he was a great coach, he was famous. So I used to tell everyone, you know, just eat less, train more, and for me it was, well, something simple, yeah, just eat less. But then he says, when I got into that mode of eating junk, and when I tried to go back to eating less, I started having withdrawal. I developed a dependence on food, on this unhealthy food. And when I went back to the diet that had always been comfortable and pleasant for me, it wasn't enough anymore. I started craving sweets, I wanted pastries. And I was having withdrawal, you know, that's what he says, 90, that's what he says. I believe that 90% of all the difficulties in losing weight aren't about the diet. It's all in your head, it's your mindset. And now, when he coaches people, he says, I work through those 90%. Why is it that when people are in a group, like in our project Fitness as Science, we gather a group, everyone does the same workouts, everything is exactly the same, but one person gets results in the group? When someone shares his pain, when someone shares his problems with him, when there's support, when he sees that he's not the only one struggling, that someone else is succeeding, they don't give up. And why am I saying this? He has this theory that you can't train people like that in workouts and sets, in an easy way. Because when, for example, a banker comes to him, you can just guide him. You say, let's just walk up the hill. Here's the chest and so on. Yeah, he loses some weight, but he doesn't really change mentally inside. And then he gains it back again. He says, people like that. You just need to, stick the barbell halfway into the back hole and twist it. Keep going until smoke stops coming out of their ears. You really have to push them hard. In order for them to get results, you have to do a certain number of sets. Through sweat, through blood, you have to reach a certain time in running. These are the goals and the so-called internal challenges. This makes them change mentally, energetically, internally, and when their inner core changes, that's exactly what makes it hard for them. After that, it's easier for them to stick to a diet, it comes more naturally, and their results become more stable. And all those people who, take it easy, why am I asking you this question? Imagine someone comes to you, well, I don't know how you work, but many fitness trainers, especially the top ones, when they have high-profile clients, they do everything just to make sure they don't lose the client. He won't torture them like that because he thinks, why should I make them suffer? My main goal, well, for many, not you, is to keep them with me as long as possible. If I make them suffer, they'll leave and stop training. There's something else too. Tell me, how do you find that golden middle ground? It seems like you're doing it for their sake, but then they leave. Because people like that are all very particular. And in general, even if we're not talking about a very important person client, just an ordinary client, on one hand, you need to push them. But on the other hand, if you push too hard, they'll leave.
Well, I've never really had that happen. I mean,
Well?
You give them an appropriate load. Well, listen, I think it's wrong to push someone with excess weight too hard.
Well, let's say you see
that it's not hard for him.
He's just being lazy. He easily does 8 reps on the machine.
Well, add a plate, let's do another set.
Are you going to make him do it? No.
Well, I don't have that. Probably it's just like another set, let's add more, but damn, you're an adult, you want results. The coach tells you what to do. That's my approach. Sanya, listen, I get what you mean.
We had a client I was talking about.
Look, I had an offer to host a show where exactly this kind of approach was needed. I said, guys, she's never done this before. What burpees? What are you talking about? She needs to start by walking uphill now, and only then will she be able to do lunges, and only after that will she be able to squat and do burpees. So, you need to approach it gradually, and even walking uphill is the maximum load for her right now.
We had a mutual oligarch, so to speak, and he used to gather quite a crowd like that. A council, there's no choice. He's alive, he's adopted, he's young. I think he's 40 or even just 40 years old. Well, not really. Yeah. He figured it out too, and he even gathered a council there. There was a cardiologist, a therapist, an endocrinologist. Well, I worked with a dietitian and a professor from Germany. So we're sitting there, he's running late. Every time we come, we're preparing something, papers, everything is laid out, everything. They barely convinced me to go. But honestly, I came for the money, and now we're doing our best writing things out. He comes in, runs off, says it's all nonsense, just like that, like, okay. So why are we here? And training is the same. You tell him something, but he does it his way. And after 2 or 3 months,
I ask, where's the result?
He starts, banging his fist and says, why am I not losing weight?
So,
yeah, I find those kinds of people really amusing. I was never able to work with him. When I realized that I was being accused of things I wasn't guilty of, I said goodbye, we're not working together anymore. I'm not used to being bought like that. There are things I can sell as my service, but everything has its price. And when it's done in such a rude manner, I couldn't tolerate it. And there are people sitting there.
Well, that's right.
Yes.
And that's absolutely right, yes.
They eat it.
I think there's a price, yes, a price. So if you're ready to do something and you're fine with everything, then okay. But if you're doing something and you're not satisfied, whether it's the relationship, the money, the time, or the result, why do it?
When a person is used to buying everything, they try to buy what can't be bought. Discipline, hard work.
No, but come on.
And do you know why? You won't get it. Here.
It's necessary. No, it's necessary, but he's a child, yeah.
Well,
I mean, it's nice to work with adults because they perceive the situation adequately. I mean, you say this needs to be done, and the person does it if they need to. But there, the situation is like, yeah, do it for me. It doesn't work that way. And in the end, it just ends. And then they look for other specialists, but it's not like that there. Yeah, I have a guy I've been training with for many, many years for just a little bit of money. Well, I just find it interesting with him, and it's just nice to talk to him. He's really an intellectual, you know, someone you can train with for free, just for fun. And he says, what if they invent something where the coach trains and you get the results? I was listening to some book recently, and it was the same thing, only about sex. Like, you actually feel what the other person is doing. That's pretty cool, of course, but by the time they invent it, we probably won't live to see it. But overall, it's awesome, really good ideas.
Dim, tomorrow you get like 10 suitcases full of money, euros, dollars, whatever, suck it up. Yeah, your attitude towards sports and its presence in your life will change, but you'll still keep training just as much.
Well, I was just thinking about that. I think for many people that would be a kind of benchmark. So let's say you work in some position, you do something. If you weren't getting paid for it, would you still do it?
For example, I can say about myself for the last 10 or 12 years I've been doing everything so that I go to my main job, not for the money.
You see, right, I mean, I would still be doing this anyway.
So,
is your calling to make people better?
Here's Mike O'Hearn, you probably know him.
Damn, he's a handsome guy for sure.
Listen, he looks really cool, even if he's got syringes sticking out of each glute. Yeah, all year round, but to look like that, even with injections at that age, that's cool. What bothers me is something else, the fact that he's selling training programs and claiming to be natural. He says he eats like 20 eggs, makes omelets and stuff. And I always have mixed feelings about people like that. On one hand, in any form, it's still promoting a healthy lifestyle, right? On the other hand, it's not very good that he's not being sincere. And it seems like he can't admit it, you know? People come, don't see results, and blame themselves, thinking something's wrong. They expected something different. But there, the result is like changing the sky, like your attitude toward the stars, like Dwayne Johnson. And to such people, media personalities, not professional athletes who get disqualified for doping, but to people who even hide testosterone replacement therapy, is it good or bad?
Well, as long as since it's illegal, it will be hidden. If there was health care, I think, well, just like, I don't know, for example, using God knows what, well, like Botox or hair transplants, I mean, that's not forbidden. Well, or say some woman uses contraceptives. For example, I mean, that's normal, and if that therapy were legalized, and the fact that it's really normal, it's beneficial, and you and I see and know that it really helps people get their lives together, then they would talk about it normally and calmly too, I think. And there are no specialists, and it's all somehow veiled, and all of this is always surrounded by some kind of secrets, you know, and I don't accept it. Well, it's funny. Well, sometimes, damn, well, it's funny, well, it's just obvious.
Well,
my father sometimes says, I never. I say, are you even normal? Well, you're not an idiot. I say, you're a grown man. Why the hell are you saying this? Well, or you can't just avoid this topic or say, I don't talk about that. It's taboo.
It's better to stay quiet, but don't call me straight.
Well, you know, that's already like putting it in your Instagram bio. Or if I say that yeah, of course it's written there. It's nonsense.
18 years old, that's it. I have another unusual question, maybe. I have a protege. He also competed in Classic, won some medals.
Wait, well, we answered the question, right? We answered. And Michael Hearn, is he a handsome guy?
Well, he's a handsome guy in any case.
I actually met him. So there was a muscle show in Dubai this year.
Is amazing.
I saw him there. Yeah, maybe at some exhibition somewhere, but not exactly like that. Well, we were just in the same locker room. So he came into that dressing room and there was Ulysses and him and someone else. Man, I keep forgetting everything. Not Banda, but there was this Spaniard, Chelly.
Sergio Constanzo.
Yeah, Sergio, that's him. We were just talking, and honestly, he seemed really normal and open to me. Plus, he knows everyone, and everyone knows him. Well,
He's been in the industry for years, maybe, yeah.
I mean, he's just so comfortable in his element, and he's really awesome. Honestly, sometimes I also, I saw him in magazines when I just started, and now I see him.
He was already around in the 90s.
Yeah, he was already there back then. I looked and thought, damn, how can I get quads like that? How his calves go right down to his ankle. I thought, damn, that's beautiful. And I kept asking myself these questions, how? And throughout my whole life, he was always in sight, always at the top. I don't even know, there are some shady hidden things, like someone lives there with a dog. He's crazy, but he's absolutely in his element, and it seemed to me that he's a completely happy person. And I really admired that. I thought, damn, what a cool guy.
And I totally support him. Yeah, he's really cool.
Yeah, he puts on a little makeup there, so what?
You're not telling me anything. Damn, I mean that he looks cool. Only those who haven't tried it think that you can just take injections and look like that at 50, but it's strict discipline, it's huge dedication, it's just impossible, damn.
Even more, he's almost 60. Well, he's really something like 55. So he's about 10 years older than me. Ulik is 48 or 49, I think. And this guy's even older.
My main job is to take care of men's health. I thought for a long time about what the main problems are in the lives of men who work actively and a lot, who do sports, and who carry a heavy burden of responsibility. Of course, these are our internal organs and systems which suffer and require care. And any reasonable man should always understand that they need to be taken care of. Not when something hurts, not when something is bothering you, but when there are no obvious problems yet. No, but it's better to find out about it in advance. Many inflammatory diseases, many problems with hormones, thyroid gland, sex hormones, adrenal glands, many problems with kidneys, liver, gastrointestinal tract. It's much easier to anticipate them or detect them at early stages by taking tests on time, and that's not to mention oncology. That's exactly why I came up with the BioCheck project, which allows you to take tests wherever and whenever it's convenient for you. A nurse comes to your home, takes your tests, and you receive a professional explanation and interpretation of your results without having to go anywhere. If you have any issues based on your test results, you'll get an explanation from specialists that will help you understand what to do next. The project is currently only available in Moscow, but we plan to scale it up soon. So, if you're interested in this service and you live in Moscow, follow the link below the video. You're welcome, use it, and be sure to subscribe to my Telegram channel because I host interesting live streams and post useful articles there. There I share links to the studies I talk about in my episodes. We started talking about champions. I have a guy I'm coaching and I'm always trying to talk him out of competing. I ask him, why do you compete? He says, well, I've already won the World Championship, won the Arnold Classic. I say, no, I need to get a pro card. He asks, but why? It affects your health, your family, your kids, your income. I think so, and I want you to maybe correct me if I'm wrong. He says he won't be right. Well, even if only 10% depends on how many medals you win, you've already done your part, and now you need to build your brand and develop yourself. Just because you have a bunch of medals, if you want, I'll buy them for you. I'll buy you those medals. You can show them, but who will even care what you won if that's so important? Is it all just for a jar of protein? For a price that's 10 times less than what you spent on flights, food, and everything else? Especially here. I understand that in the United States prize money is better since they have sponsors.
But that's only for a few, for the best. Do your titles matter?
Dim, does it matter to you personally? I'm asking about what you've achieved, your titles, and let's say how much you're worth as a professional. How much is there a connection between you being a champion, an Arnold Classic winner, being the national team coach, or is it just Dmitry Yashankin and that's already a brand?
Well, probably being a world champion would be enough for a resume. And basically, it doesn't matter in which federation or organization. Well, in any discipline, even in bench press or arm wrestling or powerlifting, basically, it doesn't matter in which federation. World champion. That sounds right. But I, for example, won't even say that I'm Mr. Juniors. I don't even say that I'm a champion, European champion, 3 times, 5 times. Well, I mean, this whole journey, it's not about the medals. I think you're being a bit unfair to the guy when you downplay it.
Wait,
Health, of course, health is important here. So going through this journey and reaching his peak is exactly what that 300 hammer is about. So he hit it here, but he needs to take the main prize and take the main prize without breaking his arm. That's your task here. To get him there and to keep him healthy and to make sure his family doesn't suffer and so that he can earn money that way, both on the way, during and after. So it's just a more complicated, multi-level kind of situation.
to protect your hands, stop when you realize you can't continue.
That's exactly what I'm talking about when you realize you shouldn't, but he doesn't understand. And if you're at that level of trust and communication where he listens to you, I've had guys like that. He says, I want to. And I say, don't, you won't be able to, it won't work. Well, it's obvious. There were mistakes too. Naturally, without going through this path, maybe he won't become a complete person. So even if he loses something somewhere, at least he tried, at least he gave it a shot.
You know, when it all comes down to the fact that he's not quite sticking to the routine somewhere, it's even good in pharmacology. But when he does his best and it still doesn't work out just because that's the limit,
Then he's an idiot. If you're banging your head against the wall, there are a lot of examples like that. They keep performing year after year and their performances get worse and worse. It's just pitiful to watch them. Why are you doing this? I'll tell you, as a bodybuilder, it's a very simple story, very straightforward. You do the exercises, you follow this kind of calorie intake. You know, it's a very simple story. But to keep your family, friends, and income, you just need a different kind of mindset. Take Arnold Colombo. These are people who are just different, and they're also businessmen. Take him. He doesn't just do one thing. He listens, tries, learns. He's a leader. But when you move in one direction and you don't succeed even in that, sorry, maybe you should try something else.
Is there any cool, wild story related to the gym? I can start with my own fitness club.
Haven't you told your followers yet?
No, I told the fitness club.
I think I've already told all the stories several times.
You can eat different things. Mark Avrili, I think you were also hanging there, by the way, on the wall of that famous dynamite club.
We didn't film anything.
No, we didn't film it. I think they closed the club itself. Really? I don't know now, but I think there was some reconstruction. I trained there for many, many years with Dima Golubochkin. We worked out together there. That's where we met.
You're talking about the old one.
In that old one.
The one in Izmailovo, yeah.
The one on the kindergarten grounds.
Well, yeah, but now he's in the hotel.
That's the second. That was the first. And this is the very first one. Just like that.
Yeah.
Well, me?
I think they just sent me somewhere for training.
Well, I think so. I work out in the evening. There's no one in the gym, just there. Lucia Tuboltseva, you know, I think her and maybe a couple of other girls. That one was on cardio, and there were also spotlights. They were filming something. It stayed in the next room. And Lucia comes up to me and says, listen, there's some psychopath. He comes up to girls and pinches their butts. I say, what do you mean pinches like you? Go take a look. I come over. One girl had already run away, and one was sitting on the mat. He comes up like this with both hands, grabs her buttocks, really digs in and twists, and she screams, ah, and what are you doing? She hits his hands, and you can tell by looking at him that he's acting kind of weird. And there was another guy there, kind of skinny. We walk up to him and say, "Hey, what are you doing, idiot?" And I see him blinking, making faces, gesturing, and then he runs off into the next room. We go after him, we come up and ask, "Why are you acting like that?" And right then he punches my friend in the jaw. My friend used to box, but he wasn't a close friend, just an acquaintance. And the two of us start hitting him. He falls to the ground and starts screaming like crazy. Not dying, just screaming like an animal. Then he jumps up, runs into the next room, knocks a camera into a spotlight, and that's it. He runs up to the window, grabs a 25-kilogram weight plate, starts spinning it, and throws it through the closed window. Then it broke there. I think it landed on the G-Wagon or nearby. Then he takes a triangular piece of broken glass in his hand. He's even bleeding. He squeezes it, and with this piece of glass, well, I don't know, about 20 centimeters long. So he starts walking around the hall, waving it in our direction, and I realize, well, damn, there are only girls there, and if I were alone, maybe I would have just run the hell out of there. But I have to deal with this glass. I say, "Calm down, everything's fine, it's all good." We start to approach. I say, "Go, bring the jump ropes," and at a certain moment he turned away somewhere. I just grabbed him by the hand, by the hair, and basically twisted his arm behind his back to the floor, even scratched myself a bit. Someone brought me the jump ropes. We tied him up with the jump ropes, tied his hands and also tied his legs together. And so he's lying on the metal floor where the platform is, screaming like an animal, really, not talking or anything, just thrashing around. We waited for the police for 20 or 30 minutes while I sat on him, but he just kept going non-stop. Then the owner of the club comes over, next to which this guy crashed with his car. I think he was some kind of connected guy, very polite usually, but in this situation, of course.
An old, yeah.
Like a werewolf, he just transformed. He says, "Ah, you little punk, now we're going to take you to the quarries." And he sits on him, grabs him basically like this, sticks 2 fingers into his nostrils, pulls him up and starts counting him or something. Then suddenly Misha Sidorichev comes in. I think you know Misha too. And he says, "What, you were barking at my wife or something?" And he comes up and says he'll kill him with his fist. And the guy is on a metal platform. Bam, his head swells up like that. Then the gym owner's friend comes in, says, "Ah, you bastard," sits down next to him, pulls out a knife, pulls his ear, says, "Say goodbye to your ear." And I swear to you, he was about to cut his ear off. All this just to watch from the side. And at that moment, a police squad comes up.
And nobody filmed it, not among...
Nobody filmed it, but back then, there weren't expensive phones with cameras. Well, I had something, but it wasn't common. There weren't social networks yet, and that's it. We later gave statements that he fell, that this happened to him because he fell. When he hit himself, we really don't know. Listen, well, they let him go. They let him go. I think it was either in the evening or early in the morning. That was an interesting, unusual story, at least.
And why couldn't you tell this story to the police? We told them.
They let us go, we told them.
Yeah, we did. We told them how it was, yes.
I, Misha, and everyone gave our statements there. I had already fallen, and we told them about the glass. They let us go, but by then, no one was lucky anymore. That's why I'm mentioning names, because the people who will be watching can confirm it. Everything was exactly like that, really.
No, I haven't had such stories.
Well, tell me some story. It's interesting.
From the audience, I actually don't really have that many stories. Well, in my childhood, I was basically in the gym since I was a kid. My dad was a coach there, and I used to hang out in the gym a lot. I don't know what I was doing there, studying, waiting. Those were the times when VCRs had just appeared. Well, what year was that? Let me think. I was working out, started lifting weights in 91 and 84. Well, I guess that was just the very beginning.
The era of the video salon.
Yeah, those videos. And some people started doing martial arts while others started working out. And these guys, they were always hanging out there. I remember it felt like they practically lived in the gym, all the time. They would train for 4 or 5 hours doing different exercises. Some people were punching the wall, some were hanging by their fingers, and there was this kind of thing between the weightlifters and these guys. So one of them thought he was Bruce Lee, and the other thought he was, the Terminator. And that guy says, "Hit me, come on, hit me," like he stood there like Bruce Lee saying, "Hit me." The other one says, "Are you crazy or what?" And they just laughed, turned away and left. That guy grabs a shovel handle, the same karate guy, and hits the biggest one on the back, and the handle breaks. That guy just scratched himself, and the men were also, kind of tough guys. They turn around like real tough guys. And I don't remember, either he threw some kind of plate at him or something like that. That's how it ended. Karate didn't help him, basically. This one broke the handle and the other one grabbed something, maybe a barbell. I mean, it was a really scary scene for me when you're talking with glass involved. This guy, I think, why didn't he grab the barbell? Because I saw it, he really did grab the barbell. And it was something like that. I mean, karate didn't help there. And they somehow pinned him down, twisted his arm. Well, it's funny, I mean, it happened right there during training in the gym. And when I was telling this story to Sarachev, there was a situation when, like, I was the owner of a gym and we were being protected by some boxers, but then some Chechens or someone from the blue showed up, something like that. This was already in 97. They started arguing and one thing led to another. So this guy was from Moscow. He had a certain hairstyle, like in some movie, was it Val Kilmer or someone like that? A short haircut and bleached hair, and he styled it like that. And then he says faggot and asks, "What did you call me? Who am I?" And they started going at each other. Then somehow he grabbed him, tore his jacket, and he says, "Yeah, this jacket, it was a gift from some guy named Bazyatsky, some kind of authority." He grabs some piece of metal, tries to defend himself with his hand. His hand breaks, and then he faints. I pull them apart, each in a different direction, and one runs off. I grab the other and take him to the hospital. That's how it happened. That's how it was. Well, that was a long time ago. Lately, you just watch selfies more. I haven't seen anything that crazy in a long time. Editor.
So how should the guys choose a coach?
Listen, well, strange girls come in wearing makeup. That's just so obvious right now in fitness clubs. For me, it's really weird because when girls come in with makeup, like full-on battle makeup, yeah, because damn, you're just being silly. Why would you do that? Well, if you want to find a decent guy, just work out, smile, talk to people, say hello. It's not about makeup at all. Yeah, I mean, if you're wearing makeup and have that kind of expression, how can anyone approach you? That's just nonsense. Well, back when you used to go to a disco or a club, you could see there are prostitutes here, people are hooking up there, and now you look and it's the same thing just happening in fitness clubs. Well, damn, it's just like that. Sadness, melancholy, and now they're even getting their butts done. So, at one point we were a bit surprised about breast implants, like a girl goes to the gym and she doesn't have breasts. Suddenly she gets them after a while, then comes the nose, and now it's trendy to get your butt done.
They have implants there, we don't.
It's really like that, I mean actual implants. Just like before she didn't have it and then suddenly it's there, her legs are the same, but now there's a butt.
No, he's a plastic surgeon. There are 3 options. They use implants, like breast implants, but those can flip over. They take your own fat from another place.
From where it's so visible, like a bulge.
That's how they take it, just like hyaluronic acid, and inject a huge portion there. Come on. Most often it's not the people who couldn't build muscle after years of training who do this. It's usually those who are just lazy. I get it, you can't really build up your chest.
It looks just as awful. Well, the chest kind of sticks on, and that's not really the main thing for an athlete. Yes, it does change the figure. Oh, for a woman herself, her sense of self changes, but for a man, I don't think it's that important. Well, I mean, once you've already met her, whether she has it or not. Well, but the butt, I mean, damn, that's really a mess. It's just a disaster.
That's how it goes. First we're surprised, then it feels normal, and later we wonder why it isn't always done.
Well, I'm in Cherkessk. The last thing that really surprised me was when I came to the gym, and after the shower I was walking to my locker. They told me get dressed, like that's not how it's done here. Well, I mean, I'm just walking, naked, drying myself off, and I'm like, what's this? I didn't know. Well, I mean, some traditions, apparently Muslim ones, right? I mean, back in the fight hall, we were opening the fight club there, Tiger Leon. Like, I never paid attention to it, no one ever talked about it, and often the guys would train, pray, wash up, and leave. And so I was kind of like, a little bit like, what's going on? Is everything okay with me?
Nothing special, just under a towel at the beach. That's how it had to be, yeah.
Well, I know how to do that. I have experience. That's what I do.
Dima, how do you choose a coach? Like Henny Rambat, the reason I remembered him is because he's the coach of the coolest champions, but at the same time, he's a chubby guy. And in theory, if you come and choose based on appearance, you'll pick some genetically gifted fool, right? And not Henny Rambat or Rambo, that's right. How do you choose?
Are you asking me? I've never chosen a coach, of course.
Maybe some things like the guys who just came to the gym and say they want to choose. And how do you choose? By how he looks? Well, you won't be like that because he...
Wait, how do you choose a television or a car? Well, hold on. One person chooses by some technical criteria, another chooses by appearance. I choose a television like, damn, that's cool, this one will fit in our room, or I just like this car, I really like it, and I have no idea what its specs are. And someone will dig into the details. Someone will choose the more comfortable one. Someone will pick the pretty one. And someone will choose just because it smells good. But with the last one, like I said, there's chemistry. If there's chemistry, then maybe you should give it a try after all. I mean, that's what a test drive is for, right? So that's how you choose a coach, right? You look at their qualifications, where they studied, where they worked, what they look like, whether you like them or not. So you'll enjoy talking to this person, you'll feel comfortable being around them, how they smell, how they sound. Just say hello, introduce yourself, you'll understand right away. Well, I think so. First of all, everyone chooses differently, no matter what I say, and it's probably better to choose based on different criteria. So yes, if you're pregnant, you need to choose someone who has worked with pregnant women all their life. She has experience in this. If you want to become a champion, you need to go to a champion coach.
Should you be friends with your coach? Doesn't it make you too relaxed? When he comes in and I look...
From the client's point of view right now, yes.
They're chatting, just chilling.
You see, I can't really think like a client. My mind just works differently. I don't get it. I mean, I can think about it, but to say yes or no, hell if I know.
And chemistry, like when clients say, Dim, I want chemistry.
So chemistry, oh, you mean, no, I'm talking about chemistry.
You try to talk them out of it?
I'm talking about chemistry. For there to be chemistry with the coach, I mean, it might not even be friendship, but that chemistry, that understanding, sometimes even just a look is enough when the coach is good. I mean, you speak and they listen to you and do what you say, but it's still a joint effort. I mean, they tell you, I want you to do this and that for me, but it's not you who will do it, it's him who will do it. But it's a joint effort, and for this collaborative creativity to happen, you need something. Still. There was some competitiveness. Well, how should I put it?
Dima, how do you decide? And what if? Also, I have a couple of chemistry questions left. I'm interested in chemistry.
Yes, you mean steroids?
Yeah, well, if you didn't suggest it, well, you're not suggesting it, but he says, Dima, I want to, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Do you say like, this choice is good, or will you try to talk him out of it?
Well, it depends on what the goals and objectives are, whether you can do without it, and what the risks are.
GZT's beauty has no signs, it's pure beauty. I want more sushi, even more. Well, like a normal, healthy person, just want something like points a finger somewhere like, I want it like this in your photo, just like this. Are you going to try to talk me out of it?
Well, probably if I really, really wanted it. I mean, I always get the most out of what I can without using anything. And most likely this is the option I've had so often when I like something. That is, he understands that he can do it himself. There are changes, there definitely are, when you start training, eating right, and following a natural routine. And at the same time, there are no mood swings, no changes in well-being, no drastic changes in physique, which again, nobody really likes. Neither those around you nor yourself, unless you're a fool, of course. And many of my guys, when they achieved it themselves in half a year or a year, were basically satisfied with everything. They want more, like maybe I could do a little more, but lately I rarely meet people who really want more and more. It's like with bodybuilders, nobody wants to look like a bodybuilder. Just a bit of a butt, yeah, a bit of chest, so it's noticeable here. Yeah, but really, no, or maybe I just don't get asked that question.
You know, just to grumble a bit, you know, like everyone says. Back in our day, the music was different, sports were different. Well, we've already talked about sports, right? About the champions.
I think we've already grumbled about that, you and I.
But I want to grumble some more. What upsets me is how men look these days. Not guys, but men. What does this image imply? In my understanding, when my dad raised me, it was probably like a person who does sports, who keeps his word, looks manly, is hardworking, helps women, is courteous, and raises children. So the heroes that I think you grew up with. Schwarzenegger, Stallone, Chuck Norris, Bruce Lee, and I wanted to be like them. But it feels like, looking at it, this isn't about your kids. Your kids are wonderful. I see one is into sports, one is into trampolining. I think trampolining and sports, the other does weightlifting and looks great. I think that they will outgrow you in every way, God willing, so my best wishes for your children to surpass you.
Thank you.
Where did we take a wrong turn? What's happening now? You know, 2/3 of the people who come in are sick, all of them. And basically, I understand that they're sick because of their lifestyle, because of the values they have. What I see in the test results, it's all a consequence of all this. It's cultural, the image of a man that's being imposed, how a man is supposed to look now, and women, on the contrary. Today we talked. A friend just flew in from Bali and said, listen, 2/3 of the visitors are women, especially in CrossFit. All these healthy, muscular women have started working out, while men are stopping doing sports. And you know, it's like we're moving toward each other, turning into some kind of genderless beings. Now, if you look at a man or a woman by their silhouette, you can't always tell who's who. Men these days are usually so slender, skinny, not working out at all. Where did we go wrong? Don't you ever get the feeling that something's just not right?
Well, honestly, in my circle, from what I see, I just can't, for example, say who rides the subway because I don't go there. Maybe that's the reason. I mean, I go to clubs where I don't see what you're talking about. I mean, to restaurants, on trips. It seems to me that everything is okay, like the guys are normal, they do sports, and the girls would take care of themselves.
They haven't checked in 10 years.
Well, maybe, again, after thinking about it, it seems like, yes, something's not right. And the problem is probably in our country. Well, that's always a Russian person, damn. They always have to complain about something instead of taking responsibility and solving the problem. Yeah, it's always someone else's fault. The government, the Americans, bad education, whatever, anything but me. But when you take responsibility for your own life, that's what you said, man. The most important thing is, what kind of man should you be? Reliable, responsible, helpful, then you realize that you need to do sports. To handle all of this, to work, if you lack education, get it and raise your children in the same way. What's so unclear about that? Well, when you encounter all this whining and complaining around you, you either avoid it or you say, listen, wake up already, or just stop it. These endless stories, one after another.
Well, they love us, I'm owed something, people owe me, and why me? Well, honestly...
But where did we take the wrong turn? Yeah.
The main thing, I think, guys, is to start with yourself. You have a wonderful father. He's a great example for you. And you are a wonderful example for your children. And as I think Pavel Volik said, he gave an example. He said, if you don't want your son to be like Bart Simpson, don't be Homer Simpson. And I have a final question for you. You have a lot of projects. Tell me, how can our subscribers support you? And in what way can they support your projects?
Subscribe to the fitness weekend and come to the events.
Subscribe and come. We will definitely announce it closer to the date, and we will add the link under this video.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming. I really respect you. It just so happened that I have different guests, but you are someone I've wanted to get to know better for a long time, because we communicate with each other, but only to a certain extent for so many years, and that's how it often turns out for me. Unfortunately, the people I don't really want to know are often nearby for some reason, maybe because of work or something else in common. And the people I like, even though I rarely see them, I still find them pleasant. That's why I'm really glad you responded to my invitation and found time in your busy schedule. By the way, he actually canceled his class today to come to us, so we thank him, and I hope our subscribers will come to our class.
Vocal class.
Well, it's important. It's still important. He's leading it. He rescheduled. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for what's come.
Thank you. You too. Thank you.